So you're going to be talking, and I'll be seeing you in just a few days here at the Prophecy Watchers Conference down in Orlando. Is it sold out, first of all?
It is not sold out. It's getting very close because unfortunately Orlando is one of the smallest venues that we have. And so there's probably, I think, only about 50, 75 tickets left. So if people are interested, I would encourage them to do it. But of course, we also offer the live stream, which, people can prophecywatchers.com. They can scroll down to the banner and see that they'll have all of the 40 messages for a whole year, which, you can watch it when you want. That's often the case. A lot of times people don't even live stream. They just get the package so that they can watch it later.
Yeah, which is great. You don't have to go anywhere. There's no hotels. Hey, honey, bring me a ham sandwich, will you? It's just funny.
Put my feet up. Absolutely.
Oh, well, hey, that's just so misogynistic. Asking your wife to bring you a ham sandwich. So, what are you going to be speaking at? And I think I already know, but kind of tease us a little bit.
Well, one of the things that I'm going to be speaking on the Millennium, and basically, I'm going to highlight what is going to happen between now all the way into the Millennium, kind of a chronological perspective, and then our job in the Millennium. And you and I have talked about this before, where we in Revelation 19 we come back on white horses.
Love it.
We're called the army. Yeah, we're called the Army of Heaven, and so you've said it for a long time, the white horse police force, and so. I'm going to discuss that a little bit more. I'm also going to bring up some other scriptures that are not often seen in the sense of what our destiny is. I think truly, if the Christian understood their destiny, they would be so absolutely encouraged beyond belief. And so I'm trying to get those scriptures into people's brains. It just comes back to we have ultimately 1 Corinthians 6:3. Paul says, don't you know you're going to judge or govern the world? Don't you know you're going to judge or govern angels? And so I'm going to talk about that, what it means and what it doesn't mean. But ultimately, we're going to govern angels. What the heck does that mean?
What is that all about? It's like when I look at that, the armies of heaven rode with him on flying. It doesn't say flying white horses, but he's coming in from heaven. They got to be flying somehow. So it's, I just love that. And then I think he dispatches us. I don't know how many people are in that army. And, we're not fighting. I don't believe we're lopping heads off like, orcs in the Lord of the Rings. I think he destroys them. He just stops holding them all together. That's where I go. He holds all, first Colossians, he holds all things together. He just stops holding all things together. He just goes, I get it. You guys hate me. That's fine. I've given you every chance. Guess what? And this is why they bleed out on that planet. They just bleed out. Why the blood is up to, it sounds like this big chaotic battle. I don't think it's that way at all. I really don't.
He speaks and it's done.
That's it. He speaks and it's done. And then we're with him. And, and how does he do this? Does he have talent criers, Mondo Gonzales, paging Mondo, or does he just communicate with you voice to skull? I don't know. That's conjecture on my part, but I think he goes, Mondo, go to Ethiopia. Aren't you lucky, right? Marzulli, go to Kauai. Of course. But, so you're dispatched, I'm dispatched, and what do? We preach the gospel, we heal the sick, we raise the dead, just like Jesus did. Jesus says, you'll do the greater works. And, he's only here for 3 years in his ministry, and then he goes up. So now we have 1,000 years, and think about it. You got 4 billion. I want you to weigh in on this. You got roughly, based on the population today, of 8 billion. So half of those people die in the tribulation. This is not a picnic, folks. If you want to hunker down and try to stay through the tribulation, bully for you. We're going up because we're not appointed to wrath. But I digress. But there's 4 billion people on the planet, and they don't know what's going on. They're going, who's this guy on the white horse? What, wait a minute, time out. What's going on? Because the TVs are still working, as far as we know. Every eye will see them. Your thoughts?
Moving to the end, that's what I'm going to highlight the chronology of that, because when you get to Jesus' return, I believe you're right. There's 4 billion people on earth. How many of those are believers? Very, very,
very few.
So what we know is that the sheep and the goat judgment, most of that 4 billion is they're unbelievers. They took the mark of the beast, and they go right they go right into hell. I mean, they do not pass go. They do not enter the kingdom. Only believers enter the kingdom. And so you figure if you had 1 billion left, or 4 billion, how many are believers? A few 100 million, maybe. Most of them have been killed already. So you might only have a few 100 million going into the kingdom to initially start the millennial period. And so that is very small. No doubt all nations are represented. We know that from Zechariah 14 and other passages, but believers begin to live, and then of course they have children. The children aren't born believers. They never have been. So they're in their natural bodies. We are not. We're in our glorified bodies, as we will discuss. And so as they live life now with the king is there. Children are born. They need to hear the gospel. They need to get saved. And so, of course, by the time you get, through the millennial period, you're going to have unbelievers. That you're going to have people that never accepted Jesus or don't believe him. Yeah. By the time you get to the end of Revelation 20, there's a short rebellion for a small period of time. And again, there's not some big battle. They gather around Jerusalem, but God just says enough, and it's over.
Yeah, and it's over. You mentioned the mark of the beast, and I have talked about this, and in our Watcher series, actually. We took out an implant from a man who was abducted. And I remember when I started talking about this 26 years ago, my Christian brothers and sisters, laughed at me and thought I was completely crazy. Now we know, because we actually took one out, that these things are real and the abduction phenomena is real. I can't prove this, but there is an evolution of these implants, and I believe these are prototypes to the mark of the beast. They are about the size of a grain of rice. They work off the nervous system, not the circulatory system, which in itself is really weird. The one we took out was 40 years old. You could cut it with a razor knife. The one prior to the one we took out, you couldn't open it. Dr. Roger Lehrer took it to a lab and had to cut it open with a razor knife. I'm sorry, a laser, not a razor knife, a laser. So we're looking at an evolution of these things, and this is what I want you to weigh in on. Something happens to those people who take the mark, something which is absolutely unprecedented. And I believe their DNA is changed, and I believe they become, this is conjecture, I believe they become modern-day Nephilim, the seed of the dragon. Your thoughts?
It's a reasonable conclusion or conjecture, because when we see people take the mark of the beast, it's quite clear that in Revelation 14 that it's so important that people do not take the mark, that God sends an angel. Think about that, supernatural angel throughout the whole world so that nobody has an excuse. And the angel is saying, do not take this mark, because if you do, you'll be moving beyond salvation. And then we ask the question, well, how does somebody move beyond salvation? I mean, I thought it's possible. And so one of the ways, again, we can't be dogmatic on it, but one of the ways would be that they lose their humanity by, because
something happens, something drastic changes.
Yeah, something drastic. And so that's one possibility. At the end of the day, it's a fact. Do not take it, because boom. And we also know in Revelation 17, 13, that the people that take the mark are the ones, I mean, the scripture, people can argue all day long they want about predestination. And I'm not here for that. But it says the ones that were not written in the Lamb's Book of Life took the mark. And so it's very much God is sovereign in what's happening there. People who take it are known that they're going to take it. And of course, if they're not in the Lamb's Book of Life, they're not saved. There does not seem to be any hope at all. In Revelation 14, 9 through 11, it talks about the smoke of their torment going up and up and up. So there's not even a hint that if you take the mark, well, then you can later repent. And so what you also see too, kind of what you were describing, is one of the judgments of the bowl judgments is that the bowl is poured out on all those, and those who have the mark they start getting a sore, and they start getting pain. Right. So there's something. Either the body rejects it, or God just pronounces a judgment on anybody that took whatever that mark is.
Well, we certainly are in very, very interesting times. There's no doubt about it. Mondo, I want to thank you for coming on the record here today. It was always great, and we'll see you again at the Orlando conference, folks. Check out the live streaming. If there's openings, I strongly, highly recommend it. The speakers are incredible. It's going to be a great romp.